Hello guys, it's Uche Alex here again. Here we're looking at graphic design elements. And graphic design elements are simply the building blocks of everything we do in designs. And in this course, we'll be looking at 5 of these elements, which are lines, shape, space, texture, and color. So line is a continuous mark made on a surface by moving a point. A line can be horizontal, it can be vertical, it can be diagonal, it can be broken, it can be zigzag, it can be wavy, it can be curved, it can be spiral, it can be thick, and it can be thin. So here is an example of how a line looks like. By the left here, you can see a horizontal line, you can see a vertical line, you can see a diagonal line, you can see a broken line, you can also see a zigzag line, a wavy line, a curved line, and a spiral line. We use lines in designs a lot to demarcate items. Sometimes we use it to guide the viewer's eyes to certain elements or certain objects in the design. Like in these infographics here, by the right of this example, you can see how lines are used to show relationships between various objects in the design. The yellow line, the green line, the red line, the blue line, and you can see how lines are used to show relationships between various objects in the design. Now let's talk about shape. Shape is an enclosed space that is limited to two dimensions. We use shapes a lot in designs, and we have two types of these shapes. We have geometric shapes and we have organic shapes. Geometric shapes are mathematical shapes like circles, squares, triangle, rectangles, parallelogram, and the likes. And organic shapes are simply free form shapes. And you can see a good example of them here. They are like natural shapes. Here in the first design by the left, you can see how the orange rectangles have been placed in this design to create an effect on the image at the background. If you look closely at this design by the right here, you can see an organic shape at the background and behind the letters. Organic shapes and lines were used in this design by the designer. Let's move to space. Space is the distance or an area around, within, or between objects. And we have white or empty space, we have negative space, and we have positive space. And we'll be looking into 3 of them. The first one, the white or empty space. This is the space around elements. In this design by Tesla, the spaces around the text and car that has nothing else on them is what we call the empty space. In design, empty spaces are used to ensure focus and to draw attention to specific objects. Let's look at negative space. Negative space is the space in between parts of an element. And in this example here, you can see this is a letter N. At the lower part of this letter N, you can see how the image of a dog has been creatively crafted out of that space in between the letter N. Negative space is used a lot in logo designs and sometimes too in graphic designs. They are creatively used by designers to create illusions of objects. And up next is the positive space. The positive space is the actual space occupied by an element. And bringing back the example we used in negative space, you can see here that the actual element here is letter N. That space that is occupied by letter N is this positive space. But generally in designs, you'll be seeing a lot of creativity being done with white space and negative space. The next element of design we'll be looking at is texture. Texture refers to the feel of an object. Texture can be a powerful tool to draw a viewer's attention and engage them in so many subconscious ways. Certain types of texture can evoke subtle emotional responses, while others excite the visual senses. Now, when it comes to design, sometimes it's not easy to communicate the actual feel of an object because designs are mostly done on flat surfaces. But with texture, you can actually make a design feel rough, you can make it feel soft, you can make it feel hard, you can make it feel fluffy. Texture helps us achieve all this in designs. Let's take a good look at this design. The background has a mix of orange and yellow, or what we call golden yellow. Here, the designer used a flip texture for the background. And looking closely at the text used too, so grateful, you can see the text also has a texture that gives it a feeling of roughness. So you see, despite the fact that this design is flat, you can see how the designer has been able to use texture to give the design some kind of feeling. Fluid background with a text that looks a little bit rough. Beyond texture, the designer also creatively used lines and shape elements in the design. Now let's take a closer look at the design. It's written here boldly, so grateful. Then by the right, a special Thanksgiving service. Now you can see the designer added a white space in between a special Thanksgiving service and the time 9 a.m. So this white space they added here has been able to demarcate the object above, which is a special Thanksgiving, from the ones below. Then after the 9 a.m. and the text below it, we also have another white space, and we now have a shape, this time around a geometric shape that the designer used to put home and e-church, and the other one service, home and e-church service. Then at the footer of this design, at the bottom, we are having, at the bottom with the black background, we are having Sunday, 31st May 2020. And there is a line before the rest of the logos by the right. So here the designer also used lines to create a demarcation between the date and the social media handles by the right. So this design is a successful design because it has all the elements of designs successfully implemented: the white space, the shapes, texture, and lines. The last element we're looking at in graphic design is color. Color is how the eyes interpret the sensation they get as a result of the way an object reflects, refracts, or emits light. This is all we can say about color in this video. Color will be continued in a separate video where we'll be handling color and the theories of color and psychology of color independently in one video. We have looked at design elements, and we have also made it clear of how it is the building blocks of every graphic design. And we have also taken a step further to show you examples of graphic designs where design elements were used to create effective communication. Right now we have an activity for you. So you'll be submitting at least 3 graphic designs where you'll be pointing out the design elements used in them and the purpose they are serving in the design. See you in the next course.